I'll give a presentation to you about Madonna. Why decided to search about Madonna? Because her life is very interesting to me. She does not have singing talent or good appearance, but she has become a worldwide star. I mean, Madonna is a common girl like you. Using the case of Madonna, I want to say to you, it's common girl have a chance to be like a Madonna in equal. I think that she has amazing ability to do self-performance and self-management. And I want to get some hint from her to survive strict business scene. And I'll be happy if my presentation becomes useful in your life. I'll deliver an about 10 minutes presentation following this outline about Madonna to my suggestion to you. First of all, I'll talk about Madonna. Do you know Madonna? Thank you. As you already know, she is queen of pop in the world. People around the world know her and her music. Also, she got awarded as Golden Globe as an actress. And she is keeping a position as a queen for a quarter of a century from her debut. And she records the Guinness Book as the youngest woman singer in the world. But the way to be a queen was not easy. Her mother died of cancer. When she was 5 years old, her mother died of cancer. Her mother's death gave her very big impact. Also, her father's remarriage made her very sad. These things created her strong heart without compromise and thoughts of believe only me. And her father controlled Madonna with taking of younger sister and younger brother, like cooking, based on traditional definition of feminine. And she kicks against the definition of feminine, from one side. At these roots, I think that they are kind of fight for her father. Her individual fighting for sexism has meaning for the world by little and little, and it makes her very, very popular. In psychology, there is a life script. When people are young, they wrote the scenario of their life in their mind. And they are trying to achieve the scenario without your notice. Also, Madonna wrote the scenario in her childhood, want to be a strong woman. At the time of her debut, she got bad reviews from mass communication, like her voice is helium speech, or her songs are thin and not soulful. It was very negative reviews, but she later got glory like the greatest woman singer in the modern era. And she really affected to woman lib movement. Like a Virgin and Material Girl, these two songs represent what women want to say. Next, I'll talk about woman lib movement. This movement happened in the United States of America in the late 16th and spread globally after that. In 1915s, husband work out, wife is full-time homemaker, and they have children over 2. It was good old American family. But women were getting feel something wrong. Many women want to promote women's social advancement. With expansion of it, it caused bad family environment, like domestic violence, because women have worked too much like men. So women have stood outside of the definition of from one side. So in 1917s, this movement were getting weaker and weaker. But Madonna gave the impact to this movement from another aspect. She is just a woman, not man-like. But her vitality is more than men's one. She always compared to Marilyn Monroe. That's why she asked Marilyn in the music video of Material Girl. And she got the position, the sex symbol in US, to use Marilyn. I guess that she has good skill to promote herself. Madonna supported by women, Marilyn supported by men. But Marilyn ended up with a woman who flowed to a man. But Madonna makes up the dance floor herself and dance with the one to play music. I mean, Madonna had the initiative relative to a man, but Marilyn did not have the initiative relative to a man. Madonna is the symbol of a tough woman. Next, conclusion of Madonna. All of her fits the times. She did not have singing talent or good appearance, but she has gifts like tough mental and brave to open her life. Finally, through my presentation, I want to suggest you some points from learning Madonna. First, you should become a right person for the right place. It's important thing you give a suitable performance at TPO, time, place, opportunities. Second, I recommend that you put on some mask like chameleon in good meaning. Even if you produce your better, some people would misunderstand you. So I think the best way is you create your style which feels good yourself, but do not work hard. And you will become a pleasure as a member of an organization in civil society without a gift from God. And it will be reality by good mentors, external environment, self-active movement, and effort yourself, and the cooperation of people around you. I wish that all of you will be a Madonna in your life. That's all my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Going to take and talk about my graduation project, analysis of Singapore for working women. I will follow this outline. Today, women has more power and more choices of jobs than it used to be. But you know, there's only 50% of leaders of companies are women, even in the US. So it sounds to me that success in business for women in Japan is much harder. About a year ago, I started job hunting. And then I started wondering the possibility of the more opportunity to get hired in overseas for people who majored in English. And then I came up with Singapore, where I lived before. And as Anzo said, beware the action is. I thought the actions is taking places in Singapore. So I'd like to seek more chances and better business and working places for women and students who are graduating. Let me introduce Singapore a bit. This multi-race country has 4 common languages, and 95% speak English. And it ranked best 4 countries for business and the top country of quality of living in Asia. Now I'd like to start comparing these two environments. Rate of employment. As you can see on the chart, more women work in Singapore than in Japan. This is because of the difference of advancement of women. Women in Singapore had to work because to cover up its limited number of workforce since long time ago. And after marriage and childbirth, as you can see at this graph, Japan shapes clearly M-sharp. This is because Japanese women leave their jobs for long times due to marriage and childbirth. On the other hand, Singaporean live short, so they didn't shape M-curve. The good point of the short leave is that few effect on careers, but the bad point is that it's so tough for women to go back to force right after giving birth. Supports for women. Japan, there are laws and systems for women, but only 10% of workers use them because of the environment to use them and the Japanese traditional way of thinking of women. Women has to stay in home. On the other hand, in Singapore, there are no national plans or constitution for women. But the advancement of women, eat out culture, and housemaids help working women a lot. Full or part-time jobs. In Japan, most women prefer part-time jobs, and half of them work as part-timers. This is because of the men-based long-term employment system. On the other hand, Singaporean women also prefer part-time jobs, but 90% of them work as full-timers, as you can see on this graph. In terms of wages, Japan, there is huge wage difference between men and women because of the promotion difference, and many women work as part-timers. In Singapore, most women feel well paid, and there is little wage gap between men and women. And 65% women are working as managers. But in terms of working hours, Singaporean works longer than Japanese, who we have stereotypes that we are workaholics, we are hard workers. But, and adapt the information from this graph. In Singapore, we would work longer hours, but pay less than in Japan. Current situation of Japanese women in Singapore. There are more than 3,000 women, Japanese women working in Singapore, and half of them work for private companies. And actually, it's getting hard to get visa due to increasing number of foreign workers there. But now, the number of Japanese companies increasing. And along with it, the number of recruitment for Japanese is also increasing. So there is chances if you can get visas. In conclusion, it's not the best workplace for all Japanese women. But one thing I can say clearly is that it's the better workplace for women who wants to keep working after marriage and childbirth. And in order to get jobs there, we should have enough English skills, business manners in Japanese ways. This is because most Japanese there get hired by Japanese companies. So we will have business with Japanese, so you have to have business manners. You have to know the Japanese way. And people who are taking actions, because you're going to overseas and with like no one, no friends, and you have to compete with active workers there, like foreign Singaporean, and you have to compete with rivals there. Plus, if you have professional skills, it would help you a lot because of the main industries there are like IT or biotechnology ones, so it helps to get jobs. And you need to be motivated because you can get more wages, more salary, and you work less in Japan. So you have to motivate it. So getting employed as local worker, the company wants us to be immediately effective, immediately useful worker. So it means we better have working experiences. So it's hard for the graduated students. But I found some information that says it's not impossible to get jobs. So there is quite low, but there is possibilities. So if we challenge, if we really tried hard, there is a possibility to get jobs, and maybe one day we can get jobs there. Thank you.
Okay, hello ladies and gentlemen. I will start my presentation. In the United States, there are several famous companies which has female CEOs. For example, Hewlett Packard, IBM, Xerox, and Kraft Foods. Do you know any of them? And Sheryl Sandberg, who is the COO of Facebook, she had a presentation in TED. It's I forgot the name, but it's a presentation TV program. And she said in corporations, only 15 or 16% of the directors are the women. So now I realize that I'm a student here and studying business. And what if I can be a successful entrepreneur or not? Then I came up with these two questions. One is, which industries should female entrepreneurs choose? And what factors they should keep in mind? This is my outline for today. First, I explain how I researched for my thesis. And 2 to 5 is about my body for the thesis. And in order to find the industry, I compared the companies which were founded by women in 2006 and 2011. Then compared the companies which were founded by men and women in 2011. Then in order to find the factors, I compared companies which were founded by women in 2011 and the companies which were founded by men. I'm sorry. Okay, I started. In order to find the factors, I analyzed deeply for the companies which were founded by women in 2011, then compared companies which were founded by women in 2006 and 11, then conclusion. So how I researched. Most of the data is from Inc. 5000. It's a list of the small business companies. You can find it online. And I chose only top 500 companies from them. Then in 2006, only 39 companies are women, female founders. In 2011, it's only 46 companies. And it's less than 10% for both years. And next, I compared industries. The first factors for first industry is government services. Government services include the financial management, securities, education, training, something like for the government. And in 2006, the government services is only 8.1%, but already it's a higher rank because it's a third place. And in 2011, the government services is way high, 24%, and it's the top. So what happens here is that why government services has so many higher rank, and it's because the demand is from by the government. So government wants to have the credits or the stable industries. So the many people want to have the job in the stable market, so it ranked higher. So there are similarities. Maybe you cannot see, so I read it loud. So red one is governmental services, food and beverages, and consumer products and retail. They have demands by the many people, so it's so popular. But it's also the competitive because they want to have the profits from the stable market. And the differences. The blue one, they're all the service industries. As you can see, if there are the industry on the list in 2006, and there's nothing into the 2011, it's 0%. And if there are the companies on the 2011, then 2006 has 0%. So in service industries, there are so many cases that in and out, so it's not stable. So I see some opportunities here that if there are not so many competitors, we can find a way to go through the industries and find a new business. So this is a summary of these. So government services, it's stable because it's demanded by the government. And high demanded industries such as the beverages or the consumer products, it's stable but still high competition. So it's not easy for our entrepreneurs, for the small business owners because it's for majority. If they have the big name or brands, they can stand out. But for the service industries, it's hard to be stable and on the list all the time because it's well influenced by the economy or the trends. But for minority people, they can find a new business in there. So let's move on to the comparison. Let's compare the industries between men and the women. So please don't care about the numbers. I wanted to show that the shape, the red circle one is at service industries. So the men, their top two are the service industries, and in the middle, there's nothing. But the bottom part is the service industry. However, on the other hand, the women, the service industry is all around. So women are really good at handling service industry. Why this happened is because the difference between different way of making network between men and women. Men try to have a business-like relationship, so they combine business interest and the personal contact together. But however, women, they try to have a personal connection between people, so they use such as word of mouth to increase the number of customers and try to increase opportunities as well. So the government services, as I said before, government services is stable and demanded by the government. So men try to have the companies in this industries too. On the other hand, IT services, IT industry, men are good at IT industries, and the woman is not good at the IT industries. Why this happened is because the characteristics or the personality of genders are different. Dr. Steve Stein, who published EQ test, he mentioned that the women have the interpersonal skills, so they can treat the people well more than men. So I think men are good at data processing. On the other hand, the women are good at service industries because they can interact people well and create a network well, then have the relationship with government too. So I move on to the factors. Kaufman Foundation, which is the biggest foundation devoted to the entrepreneurship. That organization did a survey to 549 companies. And in order to know which factors should be important in order to start a business. And these 5 factors were on the list. But the right side, the graph, is actual cases. As you can see, there are only 2 factors there. So it's not accurate because that data is not for the women, because the company consisted of both men and women, female entrepreneurs. So I compared the 2 years, the 2006 and 2011, found by only women. The similarities, they have passion for positive change, specialty company, partnership, or teamwork in workplace. There are the similarities 5 years ago, and that now it's the same. I mean, they're similar. So I can see when we start a business, we can stick with these factors. On the other hand, differences. The red one is 2006, and the blue one is 2011. So when you see the 2006, there are knowledge about the industry and jobs, and the unique ideas, products, and services. But in 2011, they said prior work experience and management skills of the owners. Why this happened? I'm sorry. So for the 2006, they stick on like the uniqueness or the knowledge that they have in their mind, in their head. But in 2011, it's actual experiences. So right, it's actual experiences. So they should do some knowledge from the actual work. So in conclusion, the men and women industries are different because their way of thinking and creating network are different. In the industry, because industry is different, the factors should be different too. And comparing a woman in 2006 and 2011, industries are different because economical changes or trends, but the factors are quite similar. Because the woman thinking is similar 5 years ago and the present too. So here is my recommendation. From the data, I think the service industries is quite influenced by the economy, but it has some opportunities to build a new business. And also government services, it's stable, so it's a good industry to start. Finishing soon. Okay. So the industries, this is my prediction that because IT services is not on the high place, but I think the demand for IT is getting increased because everyone want to have the tablet, iPad, or the smartphones. And also the healthcare. I've lived in United States for 3 years. I realized that the many American people really care about the health because they try to go to gyms and try to eat the low-fat food. So if we go to the bio business, maybe it's a good business for the new entrepreneurs. The factors as a prior experience, have an experience through work or internship, and to have the prior experience. And the creating network is important too, because they can get help or mentorship or something like the support from them. Then have passion for positive change in the specialty company is for service industries. Because if I enter the service industry, we should change every year, because as we seen, the 5 years ago is different from 2011. So the changes and the specialty is important factors, I think. The further study, I didn't have time to do everything, so from now on, I want to compare all the factors from both genders, for not only 2006 and 2011. I want to see the changes every year. And how long do companies of female owners can last? Because in 2006, there are about 500 companies, but 20 or 30% were acquired by some other companies, so maybe it's difficult to continue for a long time. So I want to know how long. And selling a company and buying a company, first I saw the selling a company, buying a company, because they lost the way or they couldn't get a revenue, so they wanted to change something. But in America, it's not always a failure. So I want to research if it's a success or failure. Yes. Thank you so much.
It's Chanel. Do you know Chanel? The Chanel brand images are here. The brand color is black and white, simple and chic style, and expensive. But Gabrielle Chanel, the founder of Chanel, had a poor background. For example, she had to live in an orphanage. Orphanage means kojin in Japanese. And she didn't have any skills and connections with fashion industry. So I'd like to make clear how Gabrielle Chanel built the world famous brand. This is a table of contents. I'd like to talk about Chanel following these contents. First, I'd like to talk about Chanel history. Gabrielle Chanel was born in 1883, and when she was 12 years old, her father left her in orphan's home, and she had to live there for 7 years. And after she left the orphanage, she met a hat lover, and he loved hat very much, and he made his original hats by himself. He preferred order-made hats to ready-made hats. This is idea of fashion. She encountered with this idea of fashion, and this idea of fashion had impact on her life later. And she started to work at a clothing store because she was interested in fashion, and she had to earn money to live. And she worked there for a few years, and in 1910, she opened her first shop, a hat shop. This shop became main store later. And 3 years later, she opened the second shop. But the next year, when World War I happened, Chanel's revolution occurred as well. All men had to go out for war, and all women, even wealthy class ladies, had to go out for work. These ladies are Chanel's target. These ladies wore gorgeous dresses or dressed with many frills then, but their style wasn't suitable for working. So she exercised idea of fashion at this time, and she suggested workable style for these ladies. And this workable style is very unique, and nobody came up with this style. So her workable style, her design clothes became popular, and her name became famous as well. And the next year, she opened a third shop, and after that, she expanded her business to all over the world. Next, I'd like to talk about what she got from orphanage life. Let me tell you what orphan's home is like. This picture is the orphan's home where she lived. This orphan's home has Gothic style and less color variations. And she lived with sisters there. And the general perspectives of sisters are here: dignity, pure and honest. And their uniforms are based on black and white. Please have a look at these pictures. These are examples of influence she got from the orphanage. The stained glass is in the orphanage where she lived, and the shape of the stained glass had an impact on Chanel logo. And the sisters' uniform, the color of uniforms had a great impact on brown color. It's very clear to see how she got the influence from the orphanage home. The next, I'd like to talk about design concept and her boyfriends. She has many boyfriends, but 4 of them have played very important role to her life. She got influence, imagination, and inspiration of design concept from them. So I'm going to talk about what she got exactly from them. The Etienne Balsan, he's from France, and what she learned from him was how to arrange men's clothes for women's style. For example, riding suits. His hobby was riding a horse, and the riding suits are very tough and walkable fabric. So she used riding suits for women's style during World War I. And the next British man, Arthur Edward Capel, he is the person who invested in Chanel's first hat shop. And he also gave the key of British taste, tweed and cardigan. And some of you know that Chanel's tweed jacket, one of the famous products. The next is the British man, Duke of Westminster. He also gave the key of the design concept: jacket, sweater, and striped vest. But 3 items are for men's clothes. But she learned how to arrange men's clothes for women's style before, so she used these items for women. So she designed a women's jacket, women's sweater, and women's vest. The last one is Dmitry Pavlovich Romanov. He's from Russia, and he hired high society's women as models for Coco. This is Gabrielle's unique advertisement way. With this advertisement, she succeeded in getting more customers from upper class. And common characteristic of 4 boys are rich people in high society. And having a relationship with rich people, she could get the information about the needs of rich people. In conclusion, what I found for my question, how has Gabrielle Chanel built a world-famous brand, or these things? From orphanage life, she could get the key of basic of Chanel products, and she also got the key of design concept, needs of wealthy people, and high price positioning from wealthy boyfriends. And both aspects helped Gabrielle to build Chanel. And Gabrielle Chanel also shows well-educated skills are important, but experience or what you got or having a relationship with many people are more important than that. Thank you for listening.